Hello everyone, and welcome to the recap of all things track of the day for July of 2026. Whether it be the authors of said tracks, the styles of them, Cup of the Day winners, world record holders, or many of the other various stats, I will have them all here for you today. Now, as usual, the first chapter we will look at here today is the authors themselves, because without them, we would not have the tracks in the first place. The month of July had 34 different authors, with 2 of those 34 having multiple tracks chosen throughout the month, with those being a Waffle Guy and Jabski. A Waffle Guy would also be one of 6 authors who had their first ever track of the day, with the other 5 being Amahalion, Mark, Mitra, Serb Chilled, and also the Thief, MY1XX, who decided to pass Mephisto's track as their own. Nonetheless, congratulations to all who made and had their own unique tracks chosen this month, but what styles of tracks were they actually making? The month of July would end up in a tie with April for the most number of unique styles showcased in a month this year, with a total of 18, and probably to no one's surprise at this point, mixed tracks were chosen the most, with 5 in total. Behind this, we have Speed Fun with a total of 4, followed by Dirt and Tech, which were each chosen 3 times, then we have Grass and Ice, each appearing twice. That will leave us with 12 tracks of other various styles, including one unique style not seen yet this year, or maybe ever, which was a bumper tech track. Finally, for tracks in July, there were 6 of them that had cuts, and again, there was also 1 stolen track. But no matter the style and how many cuts there were, what would be the preferred length of these tracks? Going strictly by author times, there was a difference of nearly 30 seconds between the longest and shortest tracks of the month, the longest of which came on July 24th with Ellipse's Dirt and Grass track Tempest Tangle, and its AT of 1 minute and 5.818 seconds, and that will also make it the second longest AT of the year. As for the shortest track in July, that would come on the 7th with Amahalion's Grass and Plastic track Palm Queen, and its AT of 36.162 seconds. Now for July as a whole, the average author time was 45.542 seconds, and that will raise the average time for the year from 45.318 seconds to 45.351 seconds. Nonetheless, short or long, how difficult was it to achieve these author medals? The month of July will be the second toughest month so far for author medal difficulty, with just over 5% of players achieving it on any given track, but of course, there will still be a few outliers. Starting with the toughest author medal this month, that would come on the 3rd with Floofle's dirt track Tears Don't Fall, which at its day's end only 3 players had achieved its AT, equating to 0.05% of its players. The next most challenging behind this was on Cannon's mixed track from July 9th, De Road Gladiole, which saw only 0.09% of its players earning its AT. Now moving over to the easier side of things, the most forgiving author medal this month was on July 5th with Number Play's mixed car track Car Adventure, which at its day's end, over 25% of its players achieved the AT. The next easiest behind this was on Ellipse's Dirt and Grass track Tempest Tangle from July 24th, in which nearly 18% of its players achieved its AT. Now with all of this said, the authors, the styles, the ATs, how well were these tracks actually received by the community? Just like June, July would also have 17 tracks that had a positive score, and for these, the top score would be on Schwupdewup's Speed Tech track Duplicity from July 29th, which scored a 1.6. This score of 1.6 equates to a low plus rating and will become the highest rated track of the year, surpassing 3 other tracks that had scores of 1.4. This also means it is the only track this year to have a plus rating. For the other 16 positive scores, 12 of them resulted in plus ratings, and 4 of them were neutrals. Then we have one other track having a score of 0, meaning there were 13 tracks that had negative scores. For those with negative scores, the lowest came courtesy of MY1XX, whose stolen tech track UTAX received a score of negative 2.8. This equates to a triple minus rating and is the lowest score of the year. As for the other 12 negative scores, 6 of them would have minus ratings, and the other 6 receive neutrals. Finally, the average score for the month did end up in the positives with a .113, which is the third best of the year, but yet again will still result in a neutral rating. Nonetheless, loved or hated, how many players were actually playing these tracks? Starting with Track of the Days, July would see about 6,699 players per track on average, which is an 11% drop from what was already a low in June, which averaged 7,530. For days of the week, Mondays would see the most amount of players on average with 7,048 per track, and the lowest would come on Sundays, which averaged 6,359. As for the individual days, the most played track in July was on the 22nd, with Lynx and Prisley's bumper tech track Lake Crest having 7,928 players at its day's end. The lowest player count on a track came a few days later on July 26, with Mark's backwards track Twistful having a total of 5,309 players. Now, with the average player count of 6,699 in mind, we will see that roughly 25% of those who played the track of the day are also those who participated in Cup of the Days, with the average there being 1,652 per cup. For those Cup of the Days, the most popular day of the week was also Mondays, which had an average of 1,773 qualified players per cup, and the least were Saturdays, which averaged 1,446. With that said, the actual participation for these days will show a bit of a different story, as Fridays would lead the way with 78% of its qualified players actually joining their respective cup, and the day retaining the leads continues to be Sunday, which averaged a participation rate of roughly 73%. As for the individual days, the most popular one by qualified player counts came on July 19th, with a Waffle Guys Speed Fun track, what I would have built in 2020 if I wasn't playing Fortnite, which had 1,852 players. With that said, its participation rate of 76.08% would rank it 20th best in the month, and Schwuppdewupp's Speed Tech Track Duplicity would have the best participation rate at 81.21%. Now for the lowest player count by qualified players, that was on July 4th with Rapid's Desert Car track You Bet You Can, which had a total of 1,258 players. Now its participation rate also wasn't the best at 72.73%, which put it at the 4th worst of the month, but that is still better than the 68.5% participation on Jabski's Grass Track Chameleon, which released on July 1st. But no matter how many players were driving these tracks, who was actually winning them? The total of unique Cup of the Day winners in July will tie many other months this year with a total of 22, and sitting beside each other at the top this month was Grenati and Scrappy, who each won 4 Cup of the Days. As for win streaks, for the first time since March, we have a streak of 3, which was achieved by Scrappy, and the other streak this month was done by Spam, who won 2 in a row. Finally, for first-time winners, July would set a new record with 8 in total, doubling the best of any other month. And those first-time winners include Antiferum, Astronauts, Flowhex, Hugo, Nurovsky, Nova, Tarantu, and Tween. So, congratulations to all the first-time winners and fast learners this month, but who would come away as the top time attack hunters? The month of July, just like both February and June, would see a total of 25 unique world record holders, which is the highest total of the year. At the top this month, we have a tie between 6 different players who would each have 2 world records, with those being Deco, Lavan, Megorian, Nabla, Purple, and Saucy. These 2 wins, however, will tie February for the lowest amount of world records to lead a month, but certainly will set a high for the most players tying for the top spot. Finally, just like many other months this year, July would not have any world record streaks. And with that, we will conclude the Track of the Day recap for July of 2026. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all here next time with August's recap.